respond to a lot of the stuff that, from my field that talks about the relativity of truth and the impossibility of getting at any kind of historiography that is originary, because it's all somehow relative, culturally relative, and so on.
It is. Well, as I said, I mean, I trust that the movement of her armies is accurate, is a description of what really happened. But my major concern has to do with the framework of the narrative rather than the actual factoids. The factoids are what they are, and everybody knows they're nothing. It's that, like, if you read most of the scholarly books on Cleopatra, they follow Plutarch, the narrative of Plutarch, right through, as if that's the only approach you can take. And we know very much about the economics of this period, and we have good sources for that, and that sort of thing. So again, I think you can, this isn't a matter of relative truths. It's a matter of, are you writing something like on a piece of paper, or are you writing it on the desk and you're not going to get anywhere? You know what I mean? I'm not sure I'm being entirely clear. But their entire approach is wrong. And so I don't think we're getting anywhere, except that I think that most of these books written on Cleopatra are a waste of paper, because all they are is what Plutarch said, with some footnotes added in. Even though Plutarch would have loved footnotes if he had ever, don't you think, Joel? Katie? If Plutarch had had footnotes available to him, he would have been thrilled.
Well, his main problem is his inability to express himself in his native language.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's a really big problem with Plutarch.
Well, that's why I can understand him. His Greek has always been easy to me because it's such bad Greek. He doesn't write like Thucydides, you know. Yes?
Okay, when you were reading section 27 and you read something to the effect that the sweetness and the tone of her voice and that she spoke many languages, the thing that came to my mind and what I wrote down was that the language was sexuality. Instead of the actual language, that it was her sexuality is what she was probably communicating with.
Right. So he denies that she was beautiful, like clearly the rumors were, but he's saying she was so sensual. And he also ascribes to her intellectual qualities, which I think is his own preference, probably. He likes a smart woman. He fancied himself a scholar. He wrote quite a lot about his own scholarly inclinations and stuff. He wrote an interesting thing that I had forgotten about that I read yesterday, which is relevant to people living in Detroit. Somebody asked him why, when the libraries in his own native city were so poor, why didn't he go to Alexandria or to Athens? And he said, then my own city would have fewer scholars. Yes.
I think I have to consult with Judith on this, because I think that we should invite you to give a guest lecture in the Research Methods in Classical Studies course next semester.
Right, because I don't have enough to do.
Yes. It's a great example. What did you say?
I said, because I don't have enough to do.
Right, you don't have enough to do. I'll talk about the autograph papyrus, maybe, in return.
In case you don't know what we're talking about, there is now an actual, what is believed to be the actual signature of Cleopatra on one papyrus.
Well, whoop-de-doo, right?
Yeah. As I said, I absolutely believe that she lived and died. Those are some facts that I think are unassailable.
So are you going to write the book on Cleopatra?
No, because I don't think there should be another book on Cleopatra. I just want to tear apart the people who have rewritten Plutarch and stuck a cover on it and made money off it. That's all I really want to do.
Yeah, but you can't do that unless you write the book.
There doesn't have to be a book. It can be a long article.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I'm just curious, is this image of Plutarch or Cleopatra?
That's Cleopatra. Yeah. That is a coin of Cleopatra, which shows her the way she looks in most of the portraits from Egypt. That is to say, she's got this kind of funky bent nose. She's wearing, you can see she's wearing pearls. She doesn't have the same nose as you, but she's got her family, because they were so inbred, they did not have the nicest facial features. And then she wore her hair in a hairdo which involved separating it into sections and twisting it, and then pulling it back into a bun, which I've done with my hair, but I didn't do today. It's a not unattractive hairdo, but you have to have slaves to do it for you well.
Is it like braids or like just twist?
No, it's not braided, it's twisted. It's big sections, and then you twist it, so it lays flat along your head.
Oh, okay.
And people say it looks like a cantaloupe, the effect. It sort of undulates. Yeah. So she's not, in any of the portraits we have of her, a stunning beauty.
Because
She's
all the-
average looking.
It's like all the other portraits or the images as me being like only 20 years old, only image I really have of her is like this goddess. Like that's it. And I never really knew that this was like this is the actual image of her.
Right, these are lifetime portraits, and they too, by the way, of course, are idealized, so she probably wasn't even that attractive. No, Joel? And the eye makeup, of course, is it's a funny thing, the eye makeup, because when people were acting as priests in Egypt, men or women, they painted their faces. That was part of the process. She did not walk around with that stuff on all the time because it gets in your eyes and it can burn your eyes and do damage to your vision, so you have to be careful about it. But in 1963, when the Liz Taylor movie was made, and they did her eyes in that magnificent way, it actually boosted Revline's sales of eyeliner through the roof. Like, the sales went up by multiples of thousands, and they made a fortune on it, and then average women started doing those long lines. So it's all these weird influences of Cleopatra. But she did not walk around on an average day with her face all painted up like that.
How do you know?
Because no, there are things about those kinds of eye makeups that say that they're very uncomfortable to wear and that they were not used on a regular basis. So, circumstantial evidence. Yes, Joel?
The tradition of, the legend of Cleopatra portrayed in Plutarch doesn't have a pedigree going all the way back to Homer, really. I mean, the male ideation, from the male point of view, the woman, it's not just that the woman like Pandora, et cetera, or even Hera in the Iliad is necessarily intrinsically going to zap a male, but that there's either some special accoutrements given to them, jewelry, or, even in Hippolytus' ranting and raving in Hippolytus, the same thing. Although the nymphs that live in the wild, they're kind of natural, sort of, aren't they, really? But I mean, women who are parcel of civilization, the notion that they are seductive partly because of their accoutrements they have on, and that seems to be a long male kind of a thing. I mean, in literature.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way. Maybe there's a thread that runs all the way down into Plutarch that way. I know that you didn't like what I just said because people are leaving the room now.
This is the effect you have on people.
We like you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I just by this thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and that's exactly the problem. She's not original aside from these little stories, the story about the pearl, the story about they go fishing and Antony doesn't catch anything, so she has her slave dive into the water and put the fishes on the hook. Aside from that, she's just a typical seductress,
But it's coming from the filter of the male mind, most of this stuff that we have, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's showbiz.
Yeah. Well, that's why I desperately wish someone had written something about Fulvia, because now here Fulvia is a Roman woman, right? So she's a matrona, she has that respectability, and...
Is she the one who put the knitting needle through Cicero's thumb? Wasn't that Fulvia?
No.
It wasn't.
No. But she led a revolt. She led an army at the same time. So why don't they talk about her?
Who put the...
I don't remember. I don't think it's Fulvia.
Oh, it's not? After,